Hello everyone, I am Dr. K.Y. Pratibha. I would like to talk on development and structure of an anther for the 4th semester botany students. In the last session, we had studied about the structure of the andrecium. Let us revise once again, the structure of the andrecium. Andrecium represents the collection of male reproductive structure in arrangement. It is found next to the corolla. So I told you it is the male andrecium is nothing but the male reproductive structure, and the individual members are called as stamens. Each stamen has three parts: the filament, the anther and the connective. Filament is a stalk-like and it bears the anther. The portion of the filament that joins with the anther is called connective. It is in the anther that the pollen grains are formed, which ultimately develop into male gametes. The function of the andrecium is to produce pollen grains, which then changes into male gametes. Now let us go once again into the structure of the andrecium. The filament is a tube of vascular tissue that anchors the stamen to the flower and serves as a conduit for water and nutrients. A typical anther consists of column of sterile tissue called as connective and anther lobes on either side. The anther contains the tissues that are responsible for producing and releasing pollen grains so that pollination process can occur within the flower. So andrecium has filament, connective and an anther. So let us now go into the development of the andrecium. Let us study the male reproductive structure in detail. On each stamen, bilobed anther will be present. So on each stamen, bilobed anther will be present. Each anther lobe bears two pollen chambers, also called microsporangia. Thus, dithecous anther consists of 4 pollen sacs or 4 microsporangia. You have to understand this. Anther is bilobed and tetrasporangiate. So in each lobe there will be 2 microsporangia or pollen sac. So totally there will be 4 microsporangia per anther. That is why a typical anther comprises of 4 microsporangia. Such anther is said to be tetrasporangiate and seen in 83.6% of dicotyledons. Sometimes the anthers may be bisporangiate. Very rare case, the anthers may be bisporangiate. Pollen grains are formed within the microsporangium present in the anther. So inside the anther, microsporangium will be present. Inside the microsporangium, pollen grains are produced. So let us now study the development basic procedures or the basic steps in the development of the anther. Anther development can be divided into two general phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, the morphology of the anther is established. Cell tissue differentiation occur and microspore mother cells undergo meiosis. So in the phase 1, the formation of anther takes place, the wall layers are formed and the microsporangium inside the anther, the microsporangia will be formed and microspore mother cells will be formed in the first phase. In the second phase, pollen grains differentiate, the anther enlarges and the anther is pushed upward in the flower by filament extension and the tissue starts degenerating, dehiscence and the pollen grains are released out of the anther. So in the first phase is formative phase of the anther. In the second phase, pollen grain dispersive phase. So if you see this diagram, you will understand the phase 1. So in the the floral primordia in the, you know that on the receptive different primordia will be formed: calyx, corolla, andrecium, the stamen primordia and the carpel primordia. So the stamen is the primordia is formed in the third oral and it starts differentiating. In the second phase, pollen grains differentiate, the anther enlarges and it is pushed towards out of the flower by filament extension, and the tissue degeneration, dehiscence and pollen grain release occur. So let us study that in detail. Stamen initiation. Stamen primordia are initiated as a whorl of small bumps at specific locations on floral meristem surface. The number of stamen primordia varies in different plant species, so it depends on plant to plant. Sometimes it may be 5 stamens in some of the families, angiosperm families maybe 10 stamens. So it depends upon the plant species, but their location on the floral meristem is fixed and in what is referred to as third whorl. So a short time after stamen primordia initiation occurs, the anther and the filament compartments differentiate. Two bilaterally symmetrical theca are established within the anther. The major anther cell types and tissues form, and anther takes on its characteristic paddle-like shape. So if you see this diagram, you will understand. So the anther, the stamen primordia is getting differentiated on the floral, stage of the receptacle, what we call as the receptacle. You will find the stamen primordia which starts differentiating and forms a paddle-like structure. Soon after this, the paddle-like shape young anther is differentiated into a homogeneous group of parenchymatous cells surrounded by epidermis and shows 3 layers of cells L1, L2, L3. So when young anther is formed, it will be having homogeneous mass of cells having 3 wall layers L1, L2, 3 layers, not wall layers. It will be having 3 layers of meristematic cells L1, L2, L3. It soon becomes 4-lobed. So now lobing of the anther is taking place. So definite shape, the anther is getting a definite shape of 4 lobe. In each of the 4 lobes, some of the hypodermal cells began to act as archisporial initials with their dense cytoplasm and prominent nucleus. So you will see that. So in the beginning, anther will be a homogeneous mass of cells, and now below the epidermis, so in the hypodermal region, archisporial cells starts differentiating. So below the epidermis, in the hypodermal region, the archisporial meristematic cells start differentiating. The archisporium consists of few vertical rows of cells, and now the division starts. So when anther is forming, it is a homogeneous mass of cells and slowly differentiates into outer epidermal cells and inner cells. And in the inner cells at the hypodermal region, the archisporial cells differentiates, and these archisporial cells are meristematic and they start dividing, and each archisporial initial divides to form an outer primary parietal cell and an inner primary sporogenous cells. So the archisporial cells undergo periclinal division, parallel division to form the inner sporogenous cells and the outer primary parietal layer. The outer primary parietal cells divides periclinally to form the 2 secondary parietal layers. Now the wall of the anther is getting formed. Okay, at the hypodermal region, the archisporial cells undergo periclinal division to form outer parietal layer, inner sporogenous, primary sporogenous layer. Outer primary parietal layer undergoes one more periclinal division to form 2 secondary parietal layers. One of these inner parietal layer differentiates into tapetum. The outer secondary parietal layer divides again to form outer endothecium and inner middle layer. Thus, the primary parietal layer has undergone division to form the endothecium, middle layer and tapetum. Epidermis will be there from the beginning of the anther development. So below the epidermis, endothelium, then middle layer, and then tapetum will be formed by the parietal layer. So the archisporial, first division of the archisporial is outer primary parietal layer, inner primary sporogenous layer. The parietal layer will form the wall of the anther. The sporogenous cells will form the spore mother cells, microspore mother cells, which eventually give rise to pollen grains. So if you look at this picture, you will understand the schematic diagram. So undifferentiated anther. So in undifferentiated anther, epidermis is there from the birth of the anther, and the archisporium differentiates at the hypodermal region. So epidermis persists till the mature anther dehisces, and the archisporial archisporial cells differentiates and divides periclinally to form primary parietal layer, primary sporogenous cells, and the primary parietal layer will form two secondary parietal layers, and the secondary parietal layer will form the endothelium, and the another inner secondary parietal layer will form the middle layer and the tapetum, and the primary sporogenous cells will form secondary sporogenous cells, which will in turn differentiates into microspore mother cells, and these microspore mother cells undergo meiosis to produce pollen grain. So next is the anther development. Phase 2, sporogenous cells undergo mitotic division and pollen mitotic divisions, as well as the I told you pollen mother cells are formed which undergo meiosis to produce pollen grains and then undergo mitosis. And microsporogenesis is the process in which each microspore mother cell divides meiotically to form 4 haploid microspores or pollen grains. So primary sporogenous cells undergo mitosis to produce secondary sporogenous cells. Secondary sporogenous cells may differentiate into microspore mother cells, and these microspore mother cells undergo meiosis to produce 4 haploid microspores or pollen grains. The anther enlarges and is pushed upward in the flower by filament extension, and the tissue degeneration, dehiscence, and pollen grains are released later, which we will study in the another session. So if you see this picture, you will know the gradual differentiation of the anther, how the 4 lobes are produced, how the wall of the anther is produced, how the microspore mother cells are formed, how they undergo meiosis, how the pollen grains are formed, how the pollen grains undergo mitosis to produce male gametophyte. All these things can be seen in this picture. Now, after all the divisions, now the structure of the young anther has been produced because of the division of the archisporial cell. The young anther has been formed. Let us study the structure of the young anther. Anther is a bilobed structure containing 4 microsporangia in angiosperm, so it is known as dithecous and tetrasporangiate anther. It has following layers. The outermost layer is known as the epidermis. Inner to the epidermis is the layer of endothelium. Inner to the endothelium there are 2 to 3 cells of middle layers, 2 to 3 layers of the middle layer, and that usually disintegrate during the anther maturation. So if you see this picture, you will understand the tetrasporangiate structure of the anther and 4 microsporangia, and outermost layer epidermis followed by endothelium followed by 2 to 3 layered. The middle layer will be 2 to 3 layered, and the innermost, most important, the green one what you see is the innermost wall layer of the anther, which is tapetum. Inner to the tapetum are the microspore mother cells which give rise to pollen grains through meiotic division. So if you see this, you will understand the structure of the young anther. The outermost layer is epidermis followed by endothelium followed by 2 to 3 layers of middle layer. The green colored one is the tapetum, which encircles the microspore mother cells, and these microspore mother cells undergo meiosis. So let us study the wall layers. Epidermis one by one. Epidermis is the outermost covering of the anther wall, single layered and protective in function. Endothecium lies below the epidermis. The cells of the endotheciums are radially elongated with fibrous thickenings. These cells are hygroscopic, and when they lose water, they contract. As a result, the anther dehisces, which helps in release of pollen grains. So all the four wall layers I will take up in the next session. So just let us just quickly we will brush it. The wall layers of the anther: outermost epidermis, protective, followed by endothecium having fibrous bands which will help in dehiscence of the anther, followed by middle layer. 2 to 3 layered cells present below the endothecium constitute middle layer. The cells of the middle layer store food material. The one of the most important wall layer of the anther is tapetum. It is the innermost layer of the anther and surrounds the sporogenous tissue. The cells have dense cytoplasm and prominent nuclei. Tapetum is nutritive in function, which supplies nutritive materials to the developing sporogenous tissue. So if you see this picture, you will understand the development of the anther. So in the beginning, it is a homogeneous ball of the cells, and then later slowly it starts differentiating into four lobes. Once the four lobes have been achieved, at the hypodermal region, archisporial cells differentiate, and these archisporial tissues undergo the periclinal and anticlinal division to form the outer primary parietal layer, inner primary sporogenous layer. The outer parietal layer undergoes division to form wall layer of the anther. The inner primary sporogenous layer will produce the pollen grain, which will eventually develop into male gametophyte. So to summarize, the development of pollen sacs begins with the differentiation of archisporial cells in the hypodermal region below the epidermis at the four corners of the young anther. The archisporial cells divides by periclinal division to give a subepidermal primary parietal layer and primary sporogenous layer. The cells of the primary parietal layer divide successive periclinally and anticlinal division to form concentric layer of pollen sac wall. The wall layers from periphery to center consist of single layer of epidermis, which becomes stretched at the mature anther, single layer of endothecium. The cells of the endothecium have fibrous thickenings, and 1 to 3 middle layers, single layer of tapetum. The tapetal cells may be uni, bi or multinucleate and possess dense cytoplasm. The cells of the primary sporogenous layer divide further and give rise to the diploid sporogenous tissue, which again which goes meiotic division to form the pollen grains. Thank you.